What's going on, guys, and welcome back to our channel. The biggest bait ever thrown in cinema is a title card stating that the movie is based on a true story. Hollywood is an expert in creating such films. Each year, many such films get nominated for Academy Awards, as if a real-life basis somehow makes one movie truer than one that's purely fictional. For the time being, at least since The Anthropoid, horror movies like to pretend they're in some way based on true events. Here are the 5 movies based on unbelievable true stories. Number 5, The Sound of Music. A very famous and almost loved musical film, The Sound of Music revolves around a cheerful and high-spirited young governess, Maria, who's played by Julie Andrews, as she falls in love with a retired Austrian officer, Georg von Trapp, played by Christopher Plummer, while looking after his many children. The movie ends with both of them getting married. Not really, when the Second World War occupies their country. By the end of the movie, the Von Trapps find themselves escaping from jail as the objectors to the Nazi regime. It's a strange, almost unnecessary twist for such an upbeat musical, but it's based on real events. Also, the Von Trapp family existed in real life, and they worked as entertainers to earn their income since they had been hit hard in the 1930s by the worst economic downfall of the Great Depression. After Georg von Trapp died in 1947, Maria, his wife, also published her autobiography. While Hollywood producers were still resisting about adapting Maria's book, Germans also filmed not only one, but 2 movies about the adventures of the Von Trapp family. Number 4, Catch Me If You Can. By the tender age of 21, Frank William Abagnale Jr., played by Leonardo DiCaprio, has already successfully modeled as a Pan-American World Airways pilot, also a physician, a lawyer, and a U.S. Bureau of Prisons agent. He makes checks and discloses frauds worth millions of dollars. However, Frank is doggedly pursued by an FBI bank fraud agent, Carl Hanratty, played by Tom Hanks, who chases him all around the world. The thing to remember about con artists, bank robbers and murderers are always brutal, while monsters are nothing more than glorified bullies. Nothing to feel astonished that Hollywood filmmakers got to know the story of Frank Abagnale, who ended up in prison only to join the FBI as the expert for detecting fraud checks. However, it took Hollywood more than 20 years for his story to reach cinemas. Number 3, Compliance. Directed by Craig Zobel, Compliance is a thriller and is almost unbearable to watch. Sandra, played by Ann Dowd, works as a manager in a fast food restaurant. One day, she receives a phone call from a police officer played by Pat Healy, who asks that she keep her employee Becky, played by Dreama Walker, as she's been suspected of stealing. Over several horrifying hours, Becky is put through a strip search first, then a cavity search, and at last, she's assaulted. All on the instructions of one phone caller. It's only happened after one of the workers knew the police officer's claims with the other managers that everyone learns they've been horrifyingly tortured. In the mid-1990s until 2004, a real case took place that an unknown person called various U.S. fast food restaurants pretending to be a police officer. In each incident, the same caller instructed the restaurant managers to bound and strip search people. Most of them were employees and some of them were customers. All of the victims were women and several of them underage. These incidents culminated in 2004 with a case that Compliance was based on. Number 2, The Anthropoid. Although there's no happy ending in Sean Ellis's World War II movie Anthropoid, it honored the heroes portrayed within the war movie. Ellis's film follows the true story of 7 Czechoslovakian resistance fighters. 2 were leading the group, which includes Joseph Gabčík, portrayed by Cillian Murphy, and Jan Kubis, portrayed by Jamie Dornan, who took forward the nearly impossible mission to assassinate SS General Reinhard Heydrich in Prague in 1942, who was one of the very close people to Adolf Hitler. The plan in the end resulted in the deaths of Kubis, Gabčík, and 5 other Czechoslovakian fighters. However, Heydrich didn't die immediately as they planned, but he was so severely injured that he couldn't survive his injuries. This led to World War II. Ellis took 15 years to create this film. Number 1, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Edward Theodore Gain was a dead body thief and a murderer. He was an unlikely subject to horror filmmakers. He grew up in a poor house. His father was an alcoholic and his mother was intimidated. In 1945, Gaines' family died and he developed a peculiar hobby. He used to raid the local graveyards for human body parts to eat. In November of 1949, police searched his house looking for the missing body of one grave. They not only found the dead body of a mutilated corpse in a shed, but also a house full of graveyard memorabilia made from tanned human skin. In 1974, the American filmmaker Tobe Hooper released the movie Texas Chainsaw Massacre based on this boy. Each year, Hollywood produces hundreds of movies based on real-life events. Some of them are terrifying and others are inspiring, but all of them are incredible. If you have any favorite movie based on real-life events, we'd love to hear them in the comments down below. And with that, we'll catch you guys later in another video. Bye now.